let's get this call underway. Here we go. Yo, good morning, my man. All right, let me pop this shit out.
Yo,
Hey.
morning.
Yo, good morning,
Morning,
good morning, good morning. Man, what a fucking day it's been, man. What a fucking day it's been.
It's been something. There's been a.
Has it? What's
Yeah,
going on?
no, it's been a mess.
It's been
Who's all in here?
something.
Mr. Pokey, thank you for the raid, man.
Okay,
Bro,
well,
get
let me
off
turn my
Twitter, bro.
camera
What are
off.
you doing, man? Just
Morning, Genizad. Morning, who's that? Fob over there, and then Ethan. What's up, baby? Pleasure to meet you, man.
Yo, what's going on, man? Yeah, pleasure to meet you guys. How y'all feeling? Hope y'all having a good day.
yo, dude, I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning. I rolled around in bed for about 10 minutes, immediately went to the gym for an hour and a half, and then hit the jacuzzi in the steam rooms, man. I feel good as fuck.
Oh
Yeah.
man, dude, getting one out early is the best fucking feeling, bro. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
fun.
Yep. And then my ass is gonna go again.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
Yeah. Asmund and Fob are gonna be joining later. So
Okay.
we'll make sure to
Dope.
save some conversation for that. We're probably gonna be talking about the FTC because I wanted to talk to Asmund about the FTC shit, and I promised that I get him to come in. But
Okay.
yeah, that shit's gonna drive me fucking nuts. We can probably just get into this right now because I know Smack is leaving an hour, right?
Yep.
Okay. Fuck yeah. Let me do intros real quick, and then we'll just get to yapping. I already know all you guys, so I don't need to do any small talk. We already know what we're here to do. Arknights Enfield, Wuthering Waves 2.0, HSR 3.0. Yo, good morning, Zach.
What's going on, Asmund? How you feeling, brother?
Oh, heck.
Hey, what's up?
Yo,
Can you guys hear me?
yeah, I can hear you
Zach,
great.
pleasure to meet you, brother.
All right.
Cool. Wait, let me do intros for like 5 seconds, Zach, and then I'm gonna get into this shit.
You good?
Okay, cool. Yo, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Gacha Cast, episode 32. Today, we are talking about a lot of shit. We're talking about Honkai Star Rail 3.0, Wuthering Waves 2.0, Arknights Enfield beta access, as well as the recent controversy with the FTC towards Genshin Impact and how that will affect the gacha space as a whole, and whose real fault does the blame happen of children spending currency on these gacha games that we all love and play. Today I have with us we have Brax, Ethan, Gacha Smack, Genizad, and we also have Fob Master coming later, and we also have Asmund Gold, who decided to step into the arena weighing in on the FTC controversy. And yeah, I don't want to waste too much of your time here, Asmund, but I am curious, how do you feel about the entirety of the FTC controversy that's going on with Genshin Impact, or do you need a refresher?
I mean, why didn't they do it to FIFA? Like,
No,
I mean,
I agree.
right? And so, like, I don't think it's really a bad thing. Like, I'm not a fan of like loot boxes, or I mean, I don't think gacha is really something good that you should do anyway,
Yeah.
especially not towards kids. But I mean, I'm not going to act like Genshin is some kind of unique evil when there's like 10 other games that do this in the same way that are Western that aren't being focused on.
Yeah, I've been told, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, I've just been hearing this, that FTC can only target one case at a time, and that Genshin Impact is going to be like kind of like the domino effect, and it's slowly going to start rolling out to other gacha games, which personally, if that is true, if there is any validity to that, then I'm absolutely pleased, because I do think games like Wuthering Waves, Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail should all be held accountable for the shady business practices of how many hoops and layers and terminology you have to go through to even understand what the fuck's going on in the game. There was a post... Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interject. I just said I feel like it's a attack the head of the snake situation where they can't. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like they can't come at every single company all at once. That involves paperwork, that involves time, that involves court. So it's like, attack the head of the snake, and then the rest will fall in line, hopefully. And if not, we'll follow that system up, step by step.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I mean, to an extent, that's probably what's happening. But I feel like with at least FIFA, I mean, that's a pretty big fucking snake, man. And it's like that's been going on for a while.
I think it's targeted China, and it can't be a coincidence that it's happening on top of TikTok ban. It's a lot of crazy shit occurring, and then it's all happening coincidentally around Trump getting in office. So, but yeah, I do feel like it all boils down to money and political control outside of the gacha space being predatory.
Well, Genshin Impact is an easy target, but also
Yeah.
if you read the FTC article, they target it for specific things. And I've heard that in FIFA, apparently you're able to actually outright buy or trade some of the characters, supposedly. And I think you can't do that in Genshin. Everything is through you pay money to buy a currency and then you use that currency on the loot boxes. So I think FIFA is a slightly different case that they could have also gone after, but it doesn't fulfill the same exact conditions that they went after Genshin for.
Yeah.
I mean, they should also go after FIFA though.
Yeah, 100%.
I was gonna say, do you think maybe attacking Genshin first might have? I'm not trying to be funny. It's like a bigger impact as a space though, just because like I feel like Genshin is like a bigger game in the sense of like more people are attuned to it and gambling on that more. As I'm not saying FIFA is not bad because it's fucking horrible, but I think this could set like a big precedence. And I was like, Gotcha Smack said there's definitely intricacies on why they're doing that first, but I also don't think it's a bad starting point personally.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I don't know if Genshin Impact is bigger than FIFA. I do
don't
probably
think
think
it
there is
No.
an underlying issue with it being related to China. But what I want to understand is that there's this take going on online from a lot of prevalent content creators in the space where it's like, oh, it either has to entirely be the business's fault or it has to be entirely the parents' fault, or it's not so much the parents' fault, it's the company's fault, or it's the children's fault, and this, that, and the other. And how are kids getting access to your credit card? I feel like a lot of people are just misunderstanding that we're not saying it's any one part of any of these categories issue. The parents, the children, the businesses, it's all their fucking fault. However, I think the blame, much like Mizkif, is 80% the company's fault, 15% parents, and 5% the children. I feel like a lot of people forget that the credit card information can be auto-saved onto your devices. Once your PayPal is synced onto your account for Google, it can be accessed very easily with literally two clicks. Glaive Keo demonstrated this in his video, to where even if the credit card information is saved for another purpose, it will still auto pop up for games like Genshin Impact with your PayPal automatically saved, and you don't need to verify that for a lot of accounts. So yeah, I do think this is majorly a company issue. However, it is absolutely a product of poor parenting, but also, can we really blame the parents for being deceived with such shady languages? Because when you pull up the actual description of the game in store, I'm not sure if you guys have seen this shit yet, it never labels it's a gacha game.
Yeah.
It never says there's gambling. It never says any way how to actually accumulate the currency. And it actually goes a step further, which says the Primo Gems can all be acquired with in-game activities, and never says anything about being able to buy access online. But yeah.
I think one of the things that I don't know why people aren't addressing is like the game set the environment. So nobody's telling you have to download Genshin, but the way all of these gacha games are set up is that they are just intrinsically predatory. And so I feel it's really weird to put a majority blame on the consumer when you're going into a predatory environment designed like that. Like there's psychology behind their advertising, how they run characters, how they do everything. Like it is a majority company. There's not that there's no blame anywhere else, like you said. But again, I think it's very weird and cringe where we're like, the company though, but what about the parents? Like, again, you could fucking save your card to your Android or your Steam account or whatever it is, your Xbox, buy $100 pack easily.
Yeah.
Well,
You know?
how I see it is there's two ways you could look at it, and it is everybody's fault to some extent, right?
Absolutely.
But there's two major ways you could look at it. You could say the company is majorly at fault. They are evil and they are doing something really bad, but it's partially the parents' fault and the kids' fault. But you could also look at it in terms of, I mean, let's say someone makes a cryptocurrency and then you fall for it. You decide to put all of your money into it. You did not do any due diligence. A lot of people would look at that and be like, what an idiot. I can't believe this person did that. Even though the cryptocurrency is evil, like what a dumbass, right?
Dude, I
So
wish
you
I got
look
it
at
on Trump Coin. That shit is going crazy.
Dude, I was talking about that today. I was like, I fucked up bad. I should have known.
Yep, dude. I was literally, if I would have known, I would have dumped 100K in that shit, bro. I would have fucking all in 100% because Trump Coin absolutely is gonna pop off.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
obvious,
insane.
right?
Yeah.
No, but yeah, you can look at it two ways. Like, obviously, companies are going to be evil and do bad things, so you should expect that, and you're naive for thinking anything different. You could look at it in that terms, or you could say, well, we do need more regulation. You can kind of look at it both ways.
My biggest problem, and I'll just go ahead and come out and say it, it's Poke and Doro's tweets. I have
Yeah.
no problem with them pointing out that parents lack of supervision. My issue is it's a half right. You're not even looking at it's a half truth. You're not even looking at the full picture here. And it's only talking about the parents in a community full of retards that are just going to take that narrative and go, oh, so then the companies aren't at fault here at all. It's just the parents, and these people already have have a severe bias towards gacha games. They already have a delusion towards gacha games. So what my frustration here is, why the fuck aren't we talking about the 12-year-old age rating inside of these gacha games? Why is a 12-year-old enabled to play a gacha game? Like, that should be regulated. It's equivalent to me going to a liquor store and it says 12-year-olds can buy liquor. Of course, a 12-year-old's going to go and buy fucking liquor because they want to see if it's cool with their kids. Or a 12-year-old can buy cigarettes. Why are age limits placed inside of society? It's to regulate because there are stupid fucking people who do stupid things. But the gacha games have a 12-year-old age limit. So that's problematic. Does that make
100%.
sense?
Yeah. Yo, Zach, what is your opinion on all this?
Yeah, I was just letting you guys talk about it, but yeah, no, I think it's like it's a why not both situation. I mean, it is the parents' fault, like for sure, because like here's the other thing. I mean, if you're a parent and your kid's using your card and buying stuff, you can just contact the company and get a refund, and it'll ban the kid's account.
Yep.
So like, there's never really a universe, like realistically, where the parent is out for all this money, and this is especially true with a credit card in the U.S. So like if you buy something and then you want a refund on it because like your kid's spending your money, you just go and do that and then the kid's account gets banned. And so like where's the universe where the parent can't just immediately solve this problem instantaneously? Well, the
So
universe is the parent isn't paying attention, they're stupid, or they don't really care that much about it, which is that's fine, but you can't go and blame a company on that. But I think that it is absolutely, I mean, when I think it was like maybe 6 months ago when there was like these rules that were suggested in like the Chinese government for companies, and it was like, oh, you can't have like gotcha games that target kids and stuff. And Tencent stock went down by over 10% in one day. Like their business model is absolutely built around getting kids to spend money. And I think that also like think about how many people would just be like completely against gotcha if the only way to get the new 5-star character or 6-star character is paying what equivalently would be $150, right? And you had to do it 6 times to like fully max the character out.
absolutely.
People would think this is the most ridiculous and outrageous thing possible. So like gotcha games are designed intentionally to mislead you and to get you to spend money in ways that you wouldn't normally do if you looked at it inside of a bigger picture. But I do think that if you're a parent and your kid's spending your money, you're a complete fucking retard.
Yeah, no, 100%. I absolutely agree. I would like to add in as an addendum, there are certain countries in which you cannot refund, as well as even in countries like the U.S. where you can refund. I've experienced this myself. I got a donation from a viewer, gave me $100. He told me to go spend it, and then he refunded it. Once you're put into the negatives, overdraft is going to start hitting pretty hard. So if you don't catch that your kid is spending quick enough and it does put you in the negatives, then the $45 charges are going to start accumulating, and that can also lead you to lose money, even if you do get the charge back, if you do catch the spending in time. But yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say my thing is what they're doing right now is they're basically saying a 16-year-old is now going to be required to purchase it without parental consent. My thing is, what steps are they putting inside to ensure that the parent is obviously verifying that? Like, are they, because the only way I can think of that is an email is being sent to the parent the moment a purchase is trying to go through, and it's saying, hey, is this you trying to make this purchase? Because that would be the only way to really ensure that the kid isn't making the purchase, obviously outside of the parents' knowledge of it occurring, and that's going to obviously prevent the money from being spent.
I generally do not
way.
understand like how people even view that as like a bad thing too, right? Like if they are just sending literally an email, or if it is going to be something where it's like, oh, you just have to get someone to come over and check this box or whatever it may be. There's no world in which that is a bad thing, right? Like there is no downside to this being added at all. So it's just weird that people are defending it. You were going to say something, Jedazad?
Zach.
Oh, Zach.
Yeah,
my bad.
Zach.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that'll help, but I mean, if you're a bad parent, you can't keep up with your own credit card. You probably can't figure out your email either.
It's fair.
And so, I mean, if you've got your kid, I mean, that's just the way it is, right? I mean, you're dumb as fuck. I mean, you got your kid that's going to be finessing you on the email too. And so they're going to get on your email and say, yeah. So there's never going to be a way that you're going to stop. Like that, the problem is like you can put all of the accountability on the company and that's fine. But unless you have good parenting, you are going to have things like this slip through the cracks that happen.
For sure.
And so the best real policy that I think that the only way to like really make sure something like this has the minimal impact is if people are able to get refunds for the money that they're spending on stuff like this, or if you make a blanket policy that disallows like spending money on like online things that have uncertain outcomes.
Well, I think that almost every time you hear about kids using money on their parents' credit card, it's almost always an outlier. It's some ridiculous thing where the parent didn't check their credit card for like
Yeah.
8 months and then they suddenly owe $50,000 to like Genshin Impact somehow. Like the kid was just spam racking up packs for no reason and doing polls or something. Like you never hear, oh, my kid spent like $200 because the parent could have just refunded it and then the account's banned. So like that probably happens. You only ever hear about these cases when it's some outrageous, absolutely insane thing, and then this suddenly makes like a big outcry where everyone gets mad. It's absolutely the parents' faults. It's absolutely the company's fault because it's a scumfuck the way that they manage all the stuff. But also these parents, they're too stupid to educate themselves on anything their child is doing. They're just giving them an iPad with connection to their credit card for some idiotic reason. They're not thinking about at all what's going on there. And they don't even know what their kid is doing. The kid is rotting its brain on Coco Melon and getting ADHD, and then they're spending money on Genshin Impact, and they don't even realize either of these things are happening. It's absolutely the company's fault, but I think people, and these parents need to get educated on these things too.
I would like to say though, like if you remember the beginning Genshin Impact experience, you load up the game after downloading the App Store. It does not say it's gacha at all. You go into the game. The wish system isn't even unlocked. You play the game for about 20 minutes and you unlock Amber for free. She just pops up out of nowhere. And then about the hour to hour and 15 mark, then you unlock wishing. But then you already have primos. So even if you were to do a 10 pull, then you'd be like, oh, okay, well then this game's just fucking free. So like at what point, you also get like 40 of the fucking free pulls in the mail. So like the parents, listen, man, you can call them bad parents. I would even say a fucking normal parent would not play these games long enough to realize what the fuck this game actually is. Because you have to go through so much.
That's such a good point. You
I
can't
didn't even know what a
literally
gacha
can't
was
pull
when I
in
started
the beginning of the
Genshin.
game.
Yeah. Now, for example, the reason why this issue is so much different than the earlier example of what happened during my high school days was GTA 5. Now, if a parent got your ass GTA 5, it's because they're retarded. You have to buy that shit. You have to show your ID. You have to look at the age rating on the back. It says nudity, sexual themes, violence, murder, blood, right? Somebody get your kid GTA 5. They're pretty fucking shit, but like, listen, man, I think I don't have kids, but I think I would do a pretty good job of being a parent, but I ain't gonna pre-play a game for 2 hours and check every single descriptor before I say, okay, Johnny, you can go ahead and play now. Like, that's a lot of fucking work, brother.
Well, you don't have to pre-play it, but like if you Google like what is Genshin Impact, you'd probably get more info than looking at like the Google App Store.
Did you see?
I did not.
Okay, so there is that little FAQ. It's AI generated answers for what the game is. Never says gacha. And then there's also another AI answer that says, what is the gacha system in Genshin Impact? And nowhere, and you watch my video, nowhere in there does it say you have to spend money for this. It says the rewards can be achieved via in-game playing and activities. So you would also have to say, well, now these AI answers, they're just not good enough. And I don't know what type of holyhood we're holding our parents to, but like, listen, every parent lets their kids watch Coco Melon. I don't know how many parent is like, well, hold up. Let me watch one whole season of Coco Melon before I let my kid watch this shit. No, they're like, well, all the kids are fucking watching Coco Melon. Go ahead, little Johnny, rot your fucking brain.
Yep.
I
Do you
think
think
that. Go ahead.
I was just. Do you think it would help if all of these were 18 plus? Like I know Balatro.
Oh yeah.
That's
like,
what I'm saying. Ethan, I was just getting ready to say the only parent that I would really find problematic at that point is a parent that lets their kid get their fucking ID. Because it's like, but then again, I guess that kind of supplements what Zach is saying there. It's like if they can get your credit card, then they can probably get your fucking ID too at that point because you're just not watching any of your shit.
Sure.
And so even if you bring it up to 16 to 18, then they just get your ID, and so they're still playing at the 18 and 16-year-old age. But like, I feel like there's no way that scenario is being applied to all the parents that are running into this issue. I don't have the evidence on hand either, though.
Yeah, there's no like proof of it, but I do think like if we were to like make it 18 plus, I do think it eliminates a lot of the bad parenting problem. Obviously it'll still exist, there'll just be fucking idiots in the world. We can't change that, and the company can't change that. They'll thrive off of those people. But making all these gacha games 18 plus, like I feel like as a, I have nieces and nephews, I'm like, wait a second, like you're downloading an 18 plus game on your iPad or whatever, like that's a red flag. Or
So I think the thing that people aren't getting is we're not trying to eliminate every
Everything.
instance of this occurring happening.
Of course.
Like, oh,
Preventative
dude,
measures.
just ban murder, make it illegal, and then nobody will do it. I think we're
True,
just
it's gone.
yeah, you can't do it
Yeah.
anymore. We're trying to do. So sorry, Jess. I did not realize this text was over your face the whole time. I feel so bad. I think the only thing we're trying to do is just prevent it from happening as much. And I feel like it is quite simply as just label the games as a gacha, explain how you can earn the currency in game by spending, and then also just make sure there's a verification step every single time you spend. Wuthering Waves has this exact thing. Okay, it's already in WUA. It's not in Genshin Impact. At least it's not in my Wuthering Waves. Maybe it's in yours, but on the PC client of Wuthering Waves, you have to re-enter your fucking PayPal and verify each time that I do it. And as well as other games, there are other games that have steps to make sure to verify and then say, careful of your spending. Very simple. But yeah, I'm not trying to say make it to where it never happens ever again, but like, just try
The
to
other thing-
prevent it a little bit.
I don't know how many of you guys know this, but apparently also in some countries, if you like use an in-app purchase, it'll literally just go to your mobile bill. So it's like you hit a button and it just kind of automatically goes.
I was going to say the other thing is a lot of people were saying that the $20 million fine was a slap on the wrist. They're also getting taxed proactively, though, and preventative measures. How many people are not going to have that money spent going forward now because of the regulations that's being implemented in? It's a lot of money that's going down the drain going forward, too.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we've pretty much addressed this topic. Let's start to the next one. Guys, how many of us think that we need to beat our children?
Jeez, fuck.
Oh man, bro, that
know-
was rough. I'm not gonna
Uh,
lie to you.
My dad
I
didn't even
can't,
beat
man.
me, but he always threatened it. So I mean, that put the fear in, you know.
Taking this group 100%.
We're all good with threats, guys. That's good.
Well, I already know like everybody's stance on this. I know Zach's 100% no beating at all whatsoever. But some of the best people I've ever met in my life have all got the belt to the ass.
Same.
In fact, a lot of them that I've met, they're actually very nonviolent people. And so it's like I don't really agree with this notion that if you beat your children, they're gonna transfer that conflict into real life, because again, as tangible evidence, me as well, I've gotten my ass beat, and honestly, a lot of people like me, hell. So it's like I don't think getting beat is a bad thing inherently. Now, me personally, I don't beat my daughter. I just don't feel the need to actually do it. But I'm literally using tangible evidence. I know many people who got their ass beat, and they're some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. So where is the problem here, I guess, that I'm trying to understand? That people find problematic with a spanking in terms of discipline, because penitence can occur. It's literally a form of punishment is how I'm looking at it. And so if you make them stare at a wall for 20 minutes or they get 5 lashes on the ass, I'm serious. Like, where's the difference here? It's a form of punishment, no matter how you look at it. But I genuinely would love to hear y'all's perspective. I'm not here to make it seem like I'm right.
Here's how I see it, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
And so like I feel like if you physically like hit your kid, number one, it's gonna make your kid afraid of you. And like I don't really know. I'm sure that there's plenty of people that get hit and then they turn out to be fine. But as far as I know, every single form of research on this has shown that hitting your kid on average creates a more negative outcome more often, right? So like you're always going to have outliers to any sort of a rule, but when every single time that this is evaluated on like a mass scale, it seems like there's only one outcome that's occurring. There seems to be a reason for that, right? It seems like it's a bad idea to do. But also it teaches kids that violence is a form of conflict resolution. And I think that if you have any form of conflict resolution that's violence, you're not going to last very long in the real world. And like if you hit somebody or you're violent at all in real life, then you're going to immediately get in trouble. You're going to go to jail. You're going to ruin your whole life.
Wow, I did not think we were gonna talk about parenting with only one parent in this entire call. But
Yeah.
I'll definitely say this though. I do not think there is ever a reason to hit your child because I think that means that you do not have the capabilities of actually explaining to your child why what they did is wrong and actually teaching them and having them learn a lesson. Instead, you are punishing them for something they did and they don't understand it rather than learning from that experience. I think it's
Yeah.
not the right way. And it
So-
shows your immaturity as a parent, is what my feeling is.
So Mr. Pokey is in chat right now, and he says kids these days need to get beat up more. It is what it is. I just want to try to quantify this into any type of rationale. How does the guy who thinks that players are just greedy and dumb and should play better in Honkai Star Rail, and that it's a skill issue, not get that it's a skill issue if you can't properly discipline your kids without hitting them? Just
Pokey
be
needs
a
to get
better
beat.
parent. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I do want to say, and this is with all respect to you guys, it is a fair point to say that none of y'all are parents, though. It really
Sure.
is. It's the
sure.
same thing though.
Yeah,
and
of
and look, I want to say this one more time. I don't beat my daughter, right? But I don't know what it's like being with a motivated 12 to 14-year-old, which I'll be honest, I was a fucking nightmare from 12 to 14 years old. I think we all were at some point. And
I was a perfect angel, man.
I can say this
Yeah.
with complete
Although
sincerity.
you-
I was a good ass kid.
okay,
I don't know
yeah.
what happened.
I mean, there's a lot of shit that,
Gacha
that
happened,
we've
brother.
done, right? And what Zach said, I definitely was scared of my dad because he beat my ass 100%, but it actually made me wise to not do dumbass shit. I would have done even more dumb shit if I wasn't scared of my dad. I think putting the fear of God in people isn't necessarily a bad thing because it's kind of like a structure to say, oh fuck, if I do that, I'm gonna get my ass beat when I get home. And that's why I said where it's kind of positive in a way. And listen, I think where I'm getting at here is there's no real right answer to raise a child. It is a case-to-case basis, but some children 100% might drive a parent to whip their ass. It might actually happen. And if that parent lashes out, it's not that was the right way, but it's just it's a nuanced subject. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
You're gonna get
I don't.
angry at times.
I mean, like my dad was he was a sergeant in Vietnam, and was dealt with active combat and everything, and so got in tons of fights.
Mhm.
Never hit me once.
Yeah.
I can't see it, and like he would, like he's way more extreme about it than I am because he grew up getting hit, and he
Mhm.
absolutely hated it, and so he never touched me, never hit me, never even threatened me. It was never a thing at all, and so like I just can't see a universe, like a world where hitting the kid is the best
Mhm.
solution. And again, I mean, there's a reason why in a lot of in Sweden, for example, like it's illegal to even do this
Yeah.
because it's just been determined to just be a universally bad thing to do. Like of course, there's always going to be people that, like with any bad thing, there's going to be people that get good outcomes from it. So like, for example, like fat shaming, right? So like if you make fun of and you call somebody and you bully somebody for being fat all the time, there are some people who are going to end up losing weight and make their life better. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the fat shaming in itself was a good thing if you're just bullying them, right? And
Yeah.
so like just because there's a silver lining to some gray clouds doesn't mean that it's not a gray cloud and it's something that's bad.
I feel like what you're talking through here, though, is like I said, a case by case basis. But I guess the argument you're making here is more people than not are going to turn out into a negative way.
Well,
Is that what we're getting at here?
here's an interesting question. Is like, what case do you think that beating your kid would be the best solution?
What case do I think that beating my kid would you're talking about like give you an example of where beating your kid is okay?
I think the only instance where I'd
Yeah.
be okay with beating my kid is if they were to attack my spouse.
Yeah.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
self-defense is common sense.
100%.
No, so I mean I can only speak on my own instance here. Like I'll give you a clean cut example. If you ask me,
Yeah.
I am trying to literally raise my children with the belief that I don't have to discipline them with the lashing. That's the belief I'm doing it for, right? But my dad was a very strict guy. He was basically like, if you don't do what I say, that's gonna be one lash to your ass. And if you flinch, it'll be 2 lashes to your ass. Like he was one of those type of people. And he'd basically say, go upstairs, get my belt, and bend over, it's gonna be 5 lashes. That type of thing was how I grew up with, right? And if you ask a lot of people, I'm gonna just be honest with you. If you ask a lot of people in the black community, This is a very common thing. It is. It's a very common thing in the black community, getting your ass beat. But what this does, though, is it definitely puts basically a bit of a fear into you that enables you to listen to your parent when your parent says, don't do this, don't do that. And then you grow up with that structure.
Yeah, but Smack, this is how I see it. Look, this is the Gacha cast after all. Every child that is born, that's a Gacha role right there, okay? They got all sorts of different attributes, they got all sorts of different thoughts, and they're going to grow up differently, all right? So think about it this way. Some children who are disciplined that way will ruin their entire life.
Yeah.
Some children who are disciplined that way, like perhaps you, will grow up into well-adjusted adults. Same with, I mean, the example before, fat shaming. Some people, it will potentially ruin their entire life. Some people will completely change their whole life around that fact.
Yeah, it helped me personally. When I was fat, it helped me a lot.
Well, but the thing is, for some people, it might actually just put them way in a deeper abyss. So the thing is, like, this is not a one-size-fits-all. And I mean,
That's
as
what I
was
was
mentioned
getting at.
before, I think Zach said there's research on this kind of stuff. It is overall a more negative thing, and I do not think it is a result that should ever really happen. Realistically, I think it is always going to do more bad than good.
You know what's fascinating to me though, and this is crazy because we're sitting here talking about. I know it's getting a bit deep, hell, but like
it's all good.
It's crazy because all of my friends have had this exact same upbringing. I guess it's a byproduct of your environment type of ordeal.
Well,
but it's
well, I think a lot of parents were like, you know, beat by their parents, and it's kind of like a generational thing, and I think that was especially common, like even like 40, 50 years ago. Yeah.
Here's the thing though, because I get what Smack is saying, because again, like I grew up in like a wild environment, and a lot of my boys and a lot of my people, and I think like a lot, and again, it's no one size fits all, but some people, like, I would never do that to my kid because I don't want them to experience that. I'd rather go a different route. And then some people, like Jen said, like, fuck this, like this worked, I'm gonna make them fear me. So it really is no general answer. I personally wouldn't do it from my own experience, but I get it. And like, you know, it doesn't always have to result to something bad, but I do think a majority of the time it probably does, just because like that's your first instinct in the back of my mind. Like, okay, that's what happened to me, I'm going to do that to them. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
but
like,
there's definitely outliers.
For me, I would also like to say, like, in what scenario would you have to be physical to deal with one of your friends or partners in real life? Like, when are you ever like, oh, for this scenario, I have to hit my wife? Why would I ever have to do that? You just wouldn't have to fucking do that. There's pretty much no excuse ever to ever hit your kids. Unless, of course, they're attacking you first, in which case it's self-defense. But yeah, no, I think I'm with Zach here. I can't find a scenario where like, oh yeah, I need to hit my kids right now. I want to pass over to
I think that's a
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. That's a good point, right? I mean, like, there's no other form in real life where conflict resolution is solved by violence. Like, if you have an issue with a coworker and you hit them, you're in jail. Do it with your wife and you hit them, you're in jail. Do it with a person on the street, you're in jail. Like, there's never a situation where this is the right outcome. And so, like, if we look at every single other instance of existence and interaction where this is seen as bad, I would also assume that doing it to kids is also bad. And it's, again, kind of what I was saying, where I can't think of a situation where the best solution to a problem would be to beat your kid.
right.
Like, where like that is the best outcome and the best way to solve this problem. And I think that you can also extrapolate that to other interactions with other people, right? It's like, what would your wife have to do for you to beat her? Like, what would
Not
like
give me my beer.
when would beating your wife be the best option?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's funny.
I would say it's probably never.
Yeah.
I think you guys are making great points here. The thing is, though, the wife is a bit of an extreme scenario because that's a fully mentally developed and mature adult that's capable of making like rational decisions. The whole
Are women really? Never mind.
Doesn't it make
That's crazy.
Well, then what about your dog?
The
When should
whole
you?
entire point of a parent disciplining their kid is to have that structure of what to do and what not to do. The thing that's fascinating, though, is I think you guys make perfect sense. It's just funny because my dad, what I think it is when people beat their kids most at times is it's a lack of emotional control, right? But what's funny is my dad never beat our ass with emotion. It was just purely like a principle. Like, you did what you weren't supposed to do. You're going to get these 5 lashes. So I'm not mad at you, but you just got to get these 5 lashes. And so it's funny when I view this from that perspective, because it's ultimately punishment. Do you guys believe that when a kid does something wrong, you're going to punish them in some form? Or do you not believe in punishment at all? Because
I mean, there's
I-
punishment that
punishment
is
is good.
useful, right?
Punishment is good.
I mean, you can't look at punishment and say like, well, anything is punishment, so anything is okay.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
that there's clearly like a spectrum of different types of punishment. And so if you're punishing somebody by hitting them, that's very different than punishing somebody by grounding them or whatever. And so, you can paint with that broad of a brush and then justify any bad behavior. And
Mhm.
it's, you could say that with another person. And I would say also, hitting somebody because they're not fully developed, I would say that actually makes it worse because at that point like you're hitting somebody that you have a completely unequal advantage against, right? And
Mhm.
so it's like in which situation would be like like hitting your dog or hitting a pet or something like that, that would
I
also
felt
be seen as like very bad.
Yeah.
I genuinely, and I know we're going back and forth. We can move on after this, but I
Sure.
genuinely
Yeah.
feel like we're applying way too much logic to like a chancla to the butt or a belt to the butt,
It
like as
depends on
opposed to
severity.
like punching somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
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 no, no.
yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
agree that don't strangle your kid, don't choke your kid, don't fucking punch him or throw him across the ground. Like, but
Don't hit him with an
genuinely think
RKO.
a belt to the butt like is that is the most structured way of discipline in terms of the quote like hitting really, and it is literally hitting, but it's a discipline. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, we'll
I guess that's
do.
insane.
Yeah, we'll do a tier list later for the best ways to beat your kid.
But
But yeah,
that's funny because
Top 10.
beating and hitting sounds extreme, bro.
Yeah,
but
for
like
sure.
a lot of parents out there that do it, it's really. I mean,
But yeah,
personal
I'm just
opinion,
saying,
it
like
ain't
when,
that deep.
when you're a 12-year-old kid and your parents 35 and they beat you, you're not even gonna get experience because the mob's too low level. So there's not even really a reason to hit something that well. So let's move on to the next topic. Let's do something a little bit more lighthearted. Let's talk about Wuthering Waves 2.0. I would like to start off with Zach because I'm very excited. I was told that Zach completely completed Wuthering Waves 2.0 offline. I wanted to know, Zach, do you have any? What is your opinion on 2.0 as a whole for Wuthering Waves?
It was shockingly good.
Yes,
I thought it was
sir.
really, really, really good. I was happy about
Agreed.
it, and I haven't gone through like all of the storylines and all the secondary stuff, but I like went and I like 100%ed all the areas, and I did the main quest line and all of that. And yeah, it's actually much better than I thought it was. Like I kind of stopped a little bit after 1.1 because I just kind of moved on and did other stuff, and like coming back to it, the game actually is really good, and I've had a lot of fun playing it. I think it's been great.
Oh
To be
yeah.
honest, like I mean, I don't want to move ahead too much, but like
Mhm.
I played the Arknights Enfield, the beta, and I actually think that Arknights in a lot of ways is I think it's a better game than Wuthering Waves outside of like individual combat mechanics and everything. But yeah, I mean the 2.0 for Wuthering Waves is insane.
I am curious. How many hours did you put into Arknights Enfield beta?
I don't know, like 4.
4? Okay. All right. Yeah, we're going to dive into that immediately after Wuthering Waves. I do want to talk a lot about that. But for everybody else, anybody have any very strong opinions about Wuthering Waves 2.0 they'd like to share? I'd love to start with you, Jenazad.
I was feeling kind of weakly about Wuthering Waves after about 1.4. I pretty much said if 2.0 is not something that I think is really significant, I think the game is going in a great direction, then I don't really have much hope going forward for the game. I think 2.0 completely raised the bar in almost every single possible metric. Better story, better music, better area design. They took clear inspiration from games such as Nier and Elden Ring for a lot of things. The flying was insane. I think a lot of people would have said the patch was good if there was no flying. They would have been like, wow, this is a really solid patch. What a great upgrade. The flying completely changed the entire game and exploration, completely divorced it from something like Genshin Impact, and actually made it incredibly good experience that I think everyone really appreciates. They went the extra mile for. Really great update.
Hell yeah.
Surprising.
Brax?
Yeah.
Yeah, like kind of going off of that, I kind of feel like a lot of these like new, like really big gacha games have this problem where they can't choose between if they want to be like a game that follows like AAA standards with gacha mechanics or if they want to be like a gacha game with like an open world, right? And I kind of feel like for me, Genshin has always felt like a gacha game with an open world where it like doesn't really respect your time and shit. Whereas like I feel like Wuwa has leaned towards being just like a game that has gacha mechanics in it. I feel like 2.0 really fucking solidified that though, because dude, it was so hard not to talk about it. When I was making my fucking videos for it, because they gave us like this like little beta thing, I was literally sitting there. I was like, this is probably the best gacha I've played, like, or gacha experience I've had outside of like my first experience in Honkai Star Rail, and that's just because I like turn-based.
Yeah. I think
Right. It's fucking incredible.
I think the smartest thing they did was the flying system because it made the world feel so much more connected. I fucking hate waypoints. I hate them in every single fucking game. Just give me a way to traverse to where I get that waypoint experience and it doesn't break up until every single time I hit a loading screen, it breaks my immersion. So now I'm just like, oh, now I'll just jump off a cliff. And then I'll just pop my fucking glider and then be there in 2 seconds. Even if it takes a little bit longer, it's just fun. And I think that's what I think Wuthering Waves did a very good job of, was make a fun game even more fun. I don't think there's any game on the market that will ever encapsulate how good the exploration system is in Wuthering Waves, which is my personal favorite part of Wuthering Waves. I don't know why we're killing ourselves right now. Oh, because I said jump off a cliff. Okay, gotcha.
Well, I think what's really funny is the game Dragon's Dogma. I remember the developers saying like, well, we don't really want waypoints. We want traveling to be fun. Like that's a big part. It's like, we shouldn't need that if the traveling's actually enjoyable. And that's kind of what this game was actually able to do.
Yeah.
They realized that.
I think it set the bar, honestly, for updates for me at least. Just like there's just so much shit to do, and it really is like free. The gliding's free. The grind feels fun. Like it makes it feel like I'm playing the game for the first time again. You know, it's very unique.
Yeah. Smack, any other strong feelings positively?
I think you guys did a fantastic job covering them all.
Then fuck yeah. Any negatives that we have for Wuthering Waves 2.0? Is it pretty over and shut? For me, my only complaint is I don't like some of the voice acting. I think across the board it was good.
Yeah.
And I just don't like Rochia's Mamma Mia. I can get used to it, but I think it's fucking shit.
I think it's just funny.
No,
I
I'm
think
with
the
you, man.
fact that it's just like it's just there. I don't know. I think it's a meme. It sounds shitty.
It's
Like
monotone.
it doesn't
That's why
sound
it's-
good. It doesn't sound good, but I just think
Well, the
it's a
whole
meme.
point of her is that she's monotone and she's like a comedian who everything she does is monotone. That's like the whole purpose. So that's why she doesn't have any emotion in her voice, right?
It kind of feels like half.
I know I sound like a fucking nerd, but you know, that's the whole point, right?
Yeah. I will say, and this is a great point that I saw from chat. Thank you, chat, for typing out your suggestions and your comments. Am excited to see how Ananta measures up on the exploration system. Arknights Enfield, I don't give a fuck about the exploration of the game. I think it sucks ass. We'll get to that later. I think Ananta's exploration does have the possibility of rivaling Wuthering Waves with the Spider-Man swinging system. I'm not sure if you guys played Spider-Man on the PS5, but the exploration system looks very, very, very nice. So hopefully it gives me that same excitement I get from the gliding in Wuthering Waves. But yeah, any overall negatives, any concerns for Wuthering Waves? I think we can all agree the Echo XP fucking sucks. Does anybody think that it's good?
Yeah, no, that shit's ass, bro. I keep getting yelled at and told to front flip into a car on Roblox every time I bring that up, but that shit is just trash. I'm not gonna lie to you. They got to fix that.
All of my things are just about building on the elements they already have in the game. Like I would love there to be a RNG fucking nightmare echo spawn in the open world that could just beat the shit out of you like the butcher from Diablo and spawn like rare loot and stuff. Just the idea of that would make people want to explore even more.
They added that in Pal World actually, in like a different kind of way, where they had like kind of random, like kind of super empowered pals that you would go and fight. And you couldn't capture them, but like killing them was like a bit more of a challenge. And I think that would definitely be really cool to like just kind of keep things fresh. It's kind of like how when Wuthering Waves first came out, they had like those shiny ones, and like people would try to kill them because they would drop guaranteed echoes.
Such
those
a
need to
letdown.
be-
That system was such a letdown.
Making the bosses be
They
good
need to be
idea.
random spawns.
Yeah, because
Yeah, sure.
We're
Well,
all
I think-
trying to. Yeah, go ahead.
also,
Well, Smack is
the
going-
shiny,
I
hey,
think
shut
he's
up!
thinking-
The shiny system was really could have been really good, but its static spawns fucking terrible. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Well, I think what Smack is sort of thinking is like a Diablo 2 sort of thing where, you know, like Diablo walks the earth, that type of thing, where it's like there's some crazy ass uber boss somewhere in the world. And maybe that's what it's like in Power World as well. But
And like, give me some rare skins, give me some rare shit because that motivates me to explore while I'm already doing my exploring task. I think they got a good foundation, Wuthering Waves, and if they build on these foundations, it'll be good. Go ahead, Ethan. You look like you wanted to say something.
No, just a question. Do they because they had that in 1.0 a little bit with like those red mobs, right? Is that in 2.0 at all or no? Are there no like random red mobs?
They're like glowy,
There
like
are,
glistening.
but they're not random.
They're like challenges.
They're not. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Gotcha.
they always spawn there every like few days or something.
Oh, got you. So that I haven't done. That I think. Yeah, I agree with you. Like random
My
encounters be
other
dope.
gripe though was I fucking loved the church dynamic. And by the way, Tech, I've been watching the shit out of Orb. Fantastic.
Yes, sir.
And that's why I like the Wuthering Wave story, and that's why the guy recommended it to me. But I love the idea of the people using the church as a means to govern the people because I think that's a horrible idea. It creates so much problems. But I love that, and then it turned into this. Once again, it's really hard to create a good story that's so relatable to what occurs in real life in terms of like manipulation and the church having corrupt people leading it, and then turn it into this omnipotent thing. I feel like the omnipotent thing completely overpowers that storytelling because it just takes away from the seriousness of it and the reality of it. Because this fucking overpowered ass God is just going to save the day every time. That's my biggest problem with it. I feel like the omnipotent thing just like kind of clashes with that real structure of what could happen inside of a real world.
Yeah.
Can I glaze the story like really fucking hard real quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that like I'm fucking addicted to Final Fantasy 14. Like that game's my shit.
Yeah.
That game does something in the post patches for all of its DLC where it sets up story and lore for like fucking 3 expansions later. And so I really like after playing the WoW story, I was thinking about it, and everyone was like saying, "Oh my god, this is like the best WoW story ever." I actually think that I enjoyed the Shorekeeper one more, but what I really liked about 2.0 specifically was that I feel like it set up like 50 different plot lines.
Yep.
Right. And now we can just go resolve every single fucking one. There doesn't have to be like a bunch of shit that we have to prepare and learn about every single fucking time because they already established all of the basis for it.
Yeah. I think that's very smart as well because for other games that have like overarching stories that we're gonna have to like follow through, like the Stellaron on this planet, that planet, that planet. We're just setting up more unique stories that we get to find out in it. I guess. Oh yeah. By the way, Zach, you're echoing like crazy.
Fuck.
No, you're all good. We get to take care of them one by one as they're being introduced. So it's kind of like a bunch of mini quests that I think keeps things very fresh along the way and keeps us in suspense and waiting for those things to happen. But yeah, I think we got all the glazing out of Wuthering Waves that we need. I want to move on to the next very important thing because I know a lot of you guys are short on time. Let's get Arknights Enfield thoughts, impressions. Have we all played it? Hopefully we have. What's up, Ethan?
I have a question because I didn't apply to Access. I only got one arm. Like I can't use my other arm right now. But
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of shit about the gacha system being trash. I don't know if I misunderstand it, but it seems really convoluted and complicated for no reason.
So let me explain it because a guy in my video and multiple people's agreed that I've given the best explanation of what it is.
Okay, let me hear this.
I saw that and I was pretty excited about that because I was really trying to bring some clarity amongst the madness of this gacha system.
I think
There's
it's
a
just
lot
too
of
crazy.
misinformation about it.
Yeah.
So here is
people have no idea what
all
it does.
direct, correct information. Chat, keep me on guard here, okay? So it's 80 pulls to guarantee you a 6-star. A 6-star is the premium top dog, cream of the crop.
5-star, yeah.
Okay? You have to win the 50-50. At 120, you guaranteed get the 6-star. So it's about 40 less than its competitors. Okay? After the first guarantee, there is no more guarantees. So you must win the 50-50 in perpetuity after the initial guarantee at 120.
If you want the cons.
Yes. The guarantee also does not carry over onto the following banners. So once you've started, you must continue.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, here's the big thing. This system has the opportunity to be the best system in all of the big gachas or the worst. And the reason why it has the opportunity to be the best is due to the fact that we can guarantee ourselves a unit in 40 pulls less than it normally would in the other gachas, because usually we have to go to 180. Now we're at 120. That's 60 better than a lot of other gachas in most cases. And the reason why it's fine is because from every existing 6-star, 5-star, 4-star, the constellation system in this game, they're pretty much inconsequential. I think the difference between a E0 unit to an E6 unit is maybe in best case scenario 32 to 40% increase, whereas its competitors are around a 360 to 400% increase. I want to remind you that E0 the Herta versus E2 Herta is a 129% difference, which is fucking insane. So right now, it could be very good if the constellations stay inconsequential. Now, I will say, in their previous gacha, Arknights, the dupe system was also the same amount of, get them if you want, they're a whalers game. So, yeah. But if they do become important, well, it's fucking terrible. And that's where we're at right now.
The weapons thing.
That's what I was going to ask as well.
I think a lot of people. One other thing is that the weapons have a 25/75, but they don't use the premium character currency. They use a currency that you get from pulling characters and from the roguelike mode. A lot of people don't know this, but you can get about 4,500 of that currency from the roguelike mode a week, which means that you can almost guarantee one weapon a month, which is fucking crazy.
That's great.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say like the power creep thing what Tech was saying. I think it's completely fair, but I feel like a lot of the gacha games start off just not with their initial units, not having that power creep in their eidolons, and then as the game goes on, then they start fucking slowly creeping it in there. Like Seela's eidolons, it really wasn't that big of a difference, but today they be Herta E2 ridiculous. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's too soon to know for sure if they're gonna implement the power creep into the eidolons or not. But I will say you did say that their previous game never did it, right? Is that what you said, Tech?
Well,
then that's fair.
For the 2 years that I played Arknights, they did not make anywhere near of a difference as they do in like Hoyo games or Kuro games.
That's significant.
Yeah.
Well, the
I think
biggest thing that I see people complain about is the pity doesn't transfer once you pull a 6-star, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people
Yeah.
complain about. So, like, if you're 50 pulls in and you get a 6-star, then you're 70 pulls until the 120. But if you don't get them in time, that doesn't carry over to the next one. And this completely depends on the amount of currency you're getting a week, a month, etc. And people have done the math. Per week, you're getting like 40 pulls just from the daily and weekly, which is absolutely insane for a gacha game. So it depends on how many extra you get from events, other things like that. But potentially it could be one of the best gacha systems of all time if you actually get a good amount of currency, because that's pretty insane. But I think a lot of players are too used to the Hoyoverse gacha system that Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, ZZZ all have, where you just spam every single pull as you get into the gacha system because you have no self-control. And none of these players have self-control, and they're incredibly upset
They're stupid and greedy.
that it doesn't. Yeah, well, actually, in a way though, like instead, you're supposed to actually just save. That's how every gacha game before usually was working. Is you would just hold on to your currency until something came along you really wanted to use it on, rather than spend it one by one.
I have 19 minutes, and I'm loving every bit of this conversation. How is the combat?
It's ass.
Well, that's I think
I've
know
heard
what?
so many different things.
I would love to start off with you, Zach. How'd you feel at the combat?
Well, as somebody who is max level in Dragon's Dogma 1 and I am level 200 in Dragon's Dogma 2, I think that it's amazing. And I think that it's a amazing, I guess, departure from what every single other game is, which is just you using one character, killing the monsters, and then swapping to another character and killing the monsters. I also, to be honest, really like the idea of not having to do anything and having my characters kill the stuff for me. I think it's really cool. And also there's a level of immersion that it has when it's like you and like your your 3 other companions going out in the world and, you know, fighting a boss and doing an adventure together. It feels more immersive. So I really like the effectively like the pawn system that they have. And it's the same as another really great game that did this was Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I'm not sure if
I
anybody
love
played
game.
that.
It's fucking
I
incredible.
played for
Incredible
exactly
game.
2 hours.
Well, I played for exactly 800. And so like
Yep.
so yeah, I played a lot and I thought the game was amazing. And so having a game where you can have like your followers that are out there in like the environment doing things with you is really, really cool to me. And I think it was probably one of my favorite things about the game, if not my favorite thing.
Somebody was
Yeah.
complaining about the dodge system. What did
That's
you guys
me.
think about that?
So,
Okay.
so once
hard.
again, I've already put up my review on this. I would like to also say I think the combat is fucking amazing. I think it's a it's a huge upgrade from where they were because the alpha combat was fucking terrible. Hypergrip
true.
did a great job fixing what was broken in the first alpha. I think it's great, a lot different, but I will say the dodge system it's hard, guys. Like it is hard.
Yeah.
Like Wuthering Waves and ZZZ. It's pretty forgiving. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I'll dodge on accident.
You can
for
dodge
certain
way
things.
Like Monster
beforehand.
Hunter? Is
Yes.
it like Monster Hunter?
Yeah,
Without
it's
evade window. Without evade window. Just no evade window.
It's really tight. It's the
it's
moment
so
you click
precise.
it is the dodge.
Okay.
It's like Monster Hunter or Dark Souls 2 with no adaptation.
Oh fuck yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah, it's really tight. But
I
also
like it.
like
I like
mean,
it.
the way the game plays, it's like with like Wuthering Waves, for example, or Elden Ring, you are expected to be dodging constantly. You're always dodging. With this game, you're not really expected to do that as much.
They give
It's
more
not like
meaning to
there's
the
these
dodge.
like 7 attack combos you have to dodge every attack.
Well, the game is a lot slower paced. You're not. It's not as
Exactly.
fast as Wuthering Waves and absolutely hectic, where you're just nonstop dodging, like dodge, dodge, dodge.
Yeah.
It's every attack you do takes longer, and you get stuck in place for longer. Same with the enemies. Everything has more meaning, kind of like a game like Monster Hunter,
Yeah.
where you actually have to be a little bit more
that's what it sounds like.
strategic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
So Tech,
say
your problem.
So I will say, I think the issue that people are going to run into is that the way that these monsters attack is going to give you that sense of familiarity with other games. When they rev up to attack, the light flashes, and then you dodge when the light flashes. This game, you have to dodge slightly after the red light appears for certain attacks. And I did, in a mere 2.5 hours, I adapted pretty quickly, and I was nailing dodges about 300% more of the time than I was when I first started the game. I'll be real, I was getting my ass kicked when I first started, but I do think there is a learning curve that players who are more familiar with timing will be able to. Chad, shut the fuck up. You can watch my gameplay. I'm not lying. Jesus Christ.
But that's
yeah.
great. Isn't it a great feeling to actually get better and learn these things? This is
Absolutely.
what most of these gacha games don't do. They're meant for babies.
Yeah.
Any baby can pick up the controller and immediately win. I feel as though Arknights Enfield is much more difficult than these other games. If you fight some of the bosses, the first boss you fight, like actual boss, he has mechanics. He has like he'll vacuum you places, he'll shoot stuff all over the ground, you have to dodge and not be in certain places, block things off. The game has way more difficulty in mechanics than any of these other gachas are, even early on.
Yeah,
So it seems like, oh my bad. It seems like it's really good though. Like overall, like it
It's
seems like
great.
it has possibly a really great gotcha system. It has a good combat. I just had one question because I didn't get to see much of it. How's the base system? Because I feel like that's like a big turnoff for a lot of people.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second, but I would say
Okay, gotcha.
I haven't gotten to the bosses yet, and I wanted to log in to try a boss last night, and unfortunately, my account's banned. So I do not get to.
No.
Yep.
What a shock.
Yep.
No, good shot.
man.
Yep. So my ass got banned. Very unlucky. Brax, you were saying you didn't like the combat system. Did you want to go into detail?
Yeah, so I think that the stuff that Asmund was saying about it being similar to Relink, where you have kind of like multiple characters on the field, I think that's fine. I like that a lot, actually. But what I don't like about it is how weirdly floaty it feels. Like, a lot of the combat in
Which
the alpha
characters were you using?
I tried a whole bunch of them.
Okay.
But I was playing Chen. I was playing the MC.
Okay.
I got the bunny girl.
Yep.
Yeah, I was playing a whole bunch of different characters, but what I remember in the alpha was dog shit for combat. It was just terrible. But it feels like they've improved the combat a lot, but I still feel like I don't make any impact when I do anything except for when I use my ult. Feels like everything else doesn't make a difference.
I think there's also another couple issues with it. One is when you attack, you're stuck in place facing that certain direction as well, and every subsequent attack attacks that same way. The fact
That
that
might
you can't
be my issue,
move
actually, yeah.
and like look where you're attacking and like swap the direction, I think is a huge reason why the combat feels a little bit stiff. And also some of the animations don't really make sense, where you'll do a super fast attack, but then you're stuck there for an abnormally weird amount of time, where they instead should make the attack a little bit slower, and the moment it ends is when you can move. So I think if they fix that, you would feel almost no issues.
And I think I was trying to consider this from like an end game perspective, because obviously, like, we all want to know, like, is it worth actually investing into the game long term? Because like, is there something to do at the end? And I can't think of a way they can make an end game mode outside of like base building stuff where the combat would actually feel like rewarding, or like there's some kind of like skill expression there. I feel like it's going to be a lot of the like, okay, you just follow this strict rotation and then it's done. And it doesn't feel like it's going to have much modularity to it. So we'll have to see. But my first impressions of it weren't like the best.
Okay, what did we all think about the energy system in the game so far? Because we barely, like, we're experiencing like level 5 combat, so I don't really want to go too fucking hard on the fucking game.
Yeah.
But there was the 3 bars, and when the 3 bars were filled, you could use 3 abilities. But then you have to wait for the bar to recharge to use an additional ability. You have to choose which ability you want to use. Just to make sure, is that pretty much more or less how the skill system worked in Arknights?
I think that's how it works. Yeah.
Okay, great. I thought it was cool and also frustrating at the same time. But I didn't
100%.
really want to hear my opinion again. Jen, do you have any overly positive or negative feelings about that?
I think that it's eventually going to be the same as ZZZ, where you realize you only use your ult on one character. And I
Yes.
think the skill points are going to feel like that, where you're only going to use them on maybe 2 characters a lot of the time, unless they add a lot of complexity. So I feel as though they need to make it so each character has their own skill points with cooldowns potentially to subvert that, because that's what ZZ eventually ended up doing. I think that it could be a bit of a problem.
Okay, Asmund, what do you think?
I mean, I think if you're not using your characters at all, like you should be able to build characters for more of a support role or build them for more of a DPS role or a tanking role. And so if you just end up having basically you and your primary companion, and then you have two basically NPC companions that don't really provide any real benefit, and you never interface or interact with like their character unless like you're doing a combo attack, that's kind of boring.
Yep.
So I think adding a little bit more complexity to it would be a good idea. But I feel like what they're trying to go with is to have a less super reactive gameplay feel and just kind of have it be more of like a strategy based game, kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, the difference between Dragon's Dogma versus Elden Ring. Or I think that they're contrasting it with something like Zenless Zone Zero or Wuthering Waves, because
Were
like
you
those
able
are
to
much more active combat.
were, were you able to try the combo attacks that characters would do? Because it wouldn't have
Yeah,
like a long time, but it was like a really cool kind of feeling, right? And it has a lot of room
yeah, it was
for
cool.
being able to build teams, I think.
Mm,
Exactly.
yeah.
I hate that I couldn't play this, man.
Hey, you're all good, man.
Yeah,
Let's move
sucks.
to another controversial topic, which is the exploration. Now, me personally, I thought it was ass. I think having to walk everywhere and then set up beacons for you to eventually be able to glide from beacon to beacon will be pretty lackluster, especially for every first-time exploration experience. However, I did see some people say that it was okay because they played games like Xenoblade and they're fine with that. Anybody have any thoughts on the exploration they want to share?
I don't have any opinions yet.
Okay.
Um, I've played a good amount of the game so far,
Yeah.
and what I would say is I think what they should do at the very end is have some sort of end game grind where you get pieces to build something like a motorbike. And I think
That'd be
that as a
cool.
reward for like an end game thing, like beating hard fights, getting all these materials to be able to traverse things way faster that you've already traversed would be a huge reward. But
Yeah.
currently they just have the zip lines, and I just did the tutorial for the zip line thing. It was a total pain in the ass because I had to connect like 5 wires or like towers to be able to just connect to one zip line, and then I had to connect towers to the other zip line just to make one thing over a cliff, which I
Yeah.
feel like you should be doing it a little bit easier, setting those up.
Yeah, I do think there's a lot of pointless monotony to those. Now, I don't want to say that, oh, well, this isn't what I like, so it's bad. However, I just know for the player that I am, I did not enjoy that at fucking all. I like being able to climb walls. I like being able to double jump. I like being able to glide. I like being able to fly. So it was pretty lackluster for me. But yeah, all right, let's look at the next thing. Base building. Did we all enjoy that? Did we all not like that? How did we feel about that?
I loved the actual concept of it, and I liked like when I got the factory going and like got all the stuff being produced and then feeding into the other stuff. I thought that was fucking awesome. There are way too many goddamn tutorials that they force you on or force on
Holy
you
fuck.
though.
Yeah, as a stupid
I
Westerner
spent
who
like
hates reading, I
45
agree.
minutes just doing that shit. Like just fucking I click in this and then go here and do this, and now it highlights this thing, then it highlights this thing, and then it highlights this thing, and then it tells you what to do. And I'm like, great, this is great for people that need it, but also I like to just fucking experiment, right? I don't want to sit there and have to read everything for every single buildable piece in the entire base system. There's like hundreds.
Does it
Yeah.
feel like a chore? Because I feel like, at least for like what I've spoke about with my buddies in my chat, like I feel like a lot of people are just nervous about that because they don't want it to feel like it's a chore to do, and it's like a big turnoff to them, like the whole base building thing.
There's one part where it feels like a chore because they put so many back-to-back tutorials of what to
Gotcha.
do, and it feels kind of like shit, where if you want to do other things, you're like, okay, I'm trapped in 15 tutorials of building. But I think the problem with the building is it's too hard for normal people to do. It actually, you have to hit so many different buttons to do so many different things. And I think, like, let's say you don't play for like a month and you come back, you're going to be like, okay, I have to press B on this thing, and then I have to press tab
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
select
yeah,
this
yeah.
thing I have to do. Like, you're just not going to remember how to do these things. They need to slightly water it down in a way while not killing the complexity of it and make it a little bit simpler for people to understand at face value.
I'm personally not a fan of base building unless the base could be used as a trap simulator for like a zombie mode. Like I don't really like the idea of building bases, man. Like
Yeah.
Fortnite story modes, base building was one of the most beautiful base modes I've ever seen in my life. You essentially set up all these traps and then you start and then zombies come in and they fucking die. But like, what is the point of building a base if it's not gonna actually be a base? You know what I'm saying?
Efficiency.
There might be some sort of system like that in the future because they have turrets and stuff. Like they do have defensive builds. I just haven't gotten like super far where they're like used. So I'm wondering if they are used later or if that's just like a one-off like quest thing.
Well, I think another big thing they have to do is they need some sort of blueprint. I think the average gacha player is not going to understand what the hell is going on. They're not going to want to deal with it. Some will definitely get super into it, but that's a niche that a lot of people might not fall into. I think they should allow people to save base builds that essentially makes a blueprint that people can follow to easily do things. And I don't know, you just put it up on like the internet, or they could have some sort of not marketplace, but just a place people can have different base designs. You could call your base like Elon's base, and then you just make that base super simple. Everyone gets to go in and just copy the thing without having to think too hard. And I think that's something that's really needed.
Yeah, but will Elon's base be made by you or another player playing the game for you?
Well, the other player
Probably the other
designed
player.
it, and then you
Oh,
just,
okay, good. Okay,
that's
great.
you just press a button and it puts all your stuff into places.
Great.
Someone
Tweet about it
agreed.
after.
Yo, Asmund, I'm being told by chat that the base building has made you quit the game. Is that true?
I was tired. I had to go. I couldn't figure out the
Okay.
conveyor belt, and I was like, "All right, guys, I've got to go do some other stuff anyway." I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out, but I had to leave, and I was like, "All right, fuck this, let's go."
Yeah.
Don't
no,
worry, bro.
yeah.
I got stuck on the conveyor belt for a little bit, trying to find what button to fucking click on the thing to then connect to the other thing. It was a pain in the ass. I was like, what the fuck button does it want me to press? And I felt like a complete piece of shit doing it.
I just think that's
Yeah,
like,
I didn't get it either, but I didn't hate the base building. I thought it was cool. I just didn't understand how it worked.
It's just a Western gamer problem.
Yeah, no. Once again, I think that's a good. I think that's a good kind of tie-in for it, which is the base system could be really cool if we understood how it worked. And I'm really hoping I get to that point. So far, let's talk about the story. I think, and I'm going to glaze it pretty hard. I think the Arknights Enfield had the best first hour of any story that I've played in a gacha game in recent memory. Maybe not. It beat HSR. It beat Wuthering Waves. It beat Genshin. Yeah, I think it is the best first hour of any story that I've seen. It's very active. It's very engaging. It's very interesting. It sets up a lot of characters very quickly. It sets up the plot line very quickly. And it's just overall just good. No slow parts, just bang, bang, bang. It starts to slow down once you meet Andre. Andre is the worst part of the game. But for the first hour, I think it's great. Any opinions of the story so far, positive or negative, Genocide?
I do want to say I've got to head out because I got to get ready and do my stuff. But thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. And I didn't do any of the fucking stories,
Pleasure
so I
meeting
think
you,
this
man.
is my time to leave.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Zach. See you soon.
have a good one, man. Thank you.
I'll see you guys later.
Peace.
Peace.
Take it easy.
Yep.
Great. So, any story thoughts?
Yeah, what I would say about the story is it definitely slows down hard with Andre, and it slows down for a while after. I just got to the part where I talked to Yvonne. If you know that character, she's probably the hottest character in the entire game, and it's not even close. She's the dragon girl with a huge ass and rack. That girl, her personality and her movements, Honkai Star Rail 3.0 players would be shitting themselves if they saw it. Like the cutscene where you actually meet her, there is so much movement, camera angles, talking, where they're actually like animated. I was actually surprised that the cutscene was good, like with the characters talking. I was actually impressed by it, but I think a lot of it is a bit dry dialogue, and I just kind of started skipping everything because I want to just play the game.
Sam, did you see the pink hair girl who takes the selfies?
Oh, that's Yvonne. That's her.
That's what you're talking about. Okay, I thought you were talking about.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about the red hair chick. Yeah, no, she a
yeah.
slut, bro. She a mega hoe. That shit was so hot, it was fucking crazy.
Dude, did you see her gear picture? What
Yes.
happens is like the camera shit. Yeah, just her ass.
She just sticks her ass out. No, it's unbelievable. Yo, Jen, if anybody has that, link it. I want to just put this shit on display. That
Oh, I
shit was
think I have it. People
beyond
spam
hot.
link me this shit, dude.
Yeah.
This shit
So,
would be
send me the
funny.
link. No, that shit was stupid.
here we go.
Yeah, I gooned that shit last night. I ain't even gonna fucking lie to you.
there
Where
you go,
you
bro.
posting it?
In Discord.
All right, I'll pull this up.
Oh, god damn.
Oh wait, I hadn't seen this.
Holy
fucking character.
shit.
What the
We're gonna
hell?
play this on my stream right now. If you want to watch, we're pulling it up and starting it in 5, 4,
What the
3,
fuck?
2, 1. God damn, bro. That shit is just, she is, holy fuck, that shit makes me hard. I am gonna fucking lie.
I didn't even know you could get her in the game, but apparently the only way to get her is you lose the 50-50 on Levitane, and then she's
I'm
one of the
losing.
3 characters you can, or 4 characters you can get. That's the
Yeah.
only way to get her.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yo,
call that a
holy
losing
shit.
50-50. That's a win. That shit,
I,
That's
dude,
a
I
win.
just, yeah, but dude, I
not
just
you.
won the 50-50 and got a fucking dupe instead of her, dude.
All right, boys, man. I tried to stay as long as I could, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate the conversation. I hope you guys have a great podcast for the rest of the
Yep.
remainder of it, man. Ethan,
Nice
pleasure
meeting you,
meeting
Smack.
you. Brax,
Yeah, bro, I
love
appreciate you.
Tech, love you. And Zenizad, love you, man.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
go on,
Thanks,
man.
brother.
Brother, a good one, man.
All right.
Oh,
Cool.
one thing I want to also say real quick.
Yeah.
Yvonne is apparently the next banner character, and apparently the characters are not limited. They go to the standard pool after.
Really, would like to say DEI is about to be very upset at this podcast. Not very inclusive anymore. Yeah. So let's. I think.
I'm
oh,
half Asian.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Any
Puerto
other
Rican.
strong feelings about Arknights Enfield that we want to talk about?
I feel like Genesis was talking about this yesterday. I feel like it kind of graphically shits on every other gacha.
I think it's
Yes.
not even close.
Yeah.
Like,
it is
it's
straight up
insane.
good it looks.
I think the average person who knows nothing about Gacha, if they see it, they're like, holy shit, this looks like a crazy AAA game that came out. Like, what is this game? And they might get... Oh, huge thing I want to talk about. The game does not feel like a gacha. It feels like a JRPG.
Yeah.
It is a JRPG, like actual JRPG, real game that they just tacked on gacha mechanics to. Absolutely feels more like a real game. And I think they were going with Xenoblade as the blueprint initially, and that's why the combat in the early alphas was way closer to something like that.
Yeah.
100%.
I think you're absolutely spot on.
Yeah, looks great.
With that out of the way, let's go on to the next topic. Honkai Star Rail 3.0. Have we all played it? What's our experience so far?
I played like the first 2 hours. Like I was and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was pretty disappointed.
Okay.
Just in terms of the storytelling.
Sure.
I think the dialogue isn't necessarily bad. Like I just think, for example, one of the things that really set me off last night, I was like, all right, I'm fucking closing this shit, was like, for example, you talk to Agalia and then there's like the fairy. And then like they're kind of like hinting like, oh, you don't like this conversation, it's kind of boring. And then like, let's make it more interesting. And then they just bring up another fairy that sounds like fucking Paimon, as opposed to like telling the whole story she's trying to tell you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, for fuck's sakes, man, like this is frustrating.
Your thoughts, Brax? Early impressions?
So I've only played like first like hour and a half. I got up to Aglaya and then I stopped. I feel like everything up to Aglaya was actually pretty good though.
Okay. Genesis?
Like
Oh.
huh?
We just want to see where everybody's at.
Oh,
Where'd you think
yeah.
Genesis at?
I have not played it, but I have watched people play it. I
Okay.
thought it was pretty dry. Wasn't really that interested in a lot of it. I saw most of the dialogue. You have to kind of just skip a lot of the NPCs. I think there were a lot of stupid things like you crash land and then you got to take pictures. Like, what the hell is some of this stuff? Just like, I don't understand. Like, what the hell is up with the story? There's no urgency or like danger, really.
Well, fuck. It appears that we're all unequipped to have this topic at length. I will say from I'm about 6.5 hours into the story so far. I will say personally, I enjoyed it quite a lot. I think My Day and Finon's relationship is great. I like the world of Emphorius. I thought getting there was cool. I like how March 7th isn't there. Yeah, I mean, I've been happy with the puzzles too.
Smack finished the whole thing, but he just left sadly.
I think the big issue with Honkai Star Rail is, from what I've played so far, is that it came out. I'm probably like 5% of the way through, 6.5 hours in. But I think the big issue is it came out immediately after Wuthering Waves 2.0, which is one of the best patches ever. Doro44 himself would finally have a truthful title if he were to call it a insane update, which is great for him. But when it comes out after 2.0, it had big shoes to fill, and I just don't think that it was possible to fill those because of the competition it had. But yeah, it's good, but it's not different enough from the previous storytelling. Yeah, go ahead, Ethan.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because I think you're 100% right in the sense of like the Wuwa comparison, but I try to like just absorb it for what it is. I think for me, at least, the frustrating part about the Hoyo games at the moment is like, as you said, they're not really taking any risk with the storytelling. Like, for example, Genshin, you started off with Paimon and the Traveler. It's just a Paimon and Traveler. You go from each region. The cast doesn't really matter. They come up in a summer event. People are like, well, we want characters to mean more. And HSR, they make the Astral Express, and like you have that little group. And although March is annoying, it's kind of cool that you have all of these people around, but it's still the same static bullshit. ZZZ comes out. They have like the cutscenes, the anime style, and everything. And I just feel like Hoyoverse is clearly able to find a way to make these things more interesting, but they just don't apply it to their older games. Like they take a risk with the new one and just kind of leave the other one behind, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I actually kind of disagree with you, Tectone, that I don't think it was 2.0 that is making people feel this way. I think it's ZZZ. I think because ZZZ is made by the same company, it is direct evidence they can actually put an effort and try. They have a better way of storytelling with the comics, which I think we can agree is infinitely better than a black screen that says some bullshit. 1.4 was a huge update that listened to the players, fundamentally changed some of the mechanics and made the game way better. It did add ridiculous power creep character, but I think people were just excited about the changes, so they don't really care about that unless it's constant. And I think that ZZZ proved that they can do things, but that they just don't. That
They
they
just
just
don't
give
fucking do
zero
it.
fucks about the game. And 3.0, I think, is a huge breaking point for a lot of people where they wanted something new, exciting, cool, but it's literally just 2.0 again. There's nothing exciting
Yeah.
other than I do the story and I'm done, and it's just the same as every update.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
so whether it's ZZZ, whether it's Wuthering Waves, who cares? But
Yeah, well, I just
I
mean it's the
agree.
same
Like,
company.
what
So, like,
what makes this 3.0? Well, we're on
Yeah.
a new planet, and that's pretty much it.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
nothing.
could have said that 3.0 is going to fight Hule or whatever, right? That could have been 3.0 as you go to,
Yeah.
back to the Chinese planet to fight that. Like,
Yeah.
what is cool about Amphorius that makes it such a huge, impactful update that makes you want to play?
I
Yeah.
just think they're doing nothing to innovate, and it's just frustrating because again, like, what's the point? Like, it's all the same shit, and they're
What do
just
you- what do you
making
mean?
so much.
No, they have
I don't-
they have 14 times the HP now.
Oh fuck yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah,
Heart is
that's
gonna
what-
be
that's what I'm
trash in
waiting
2
for,
months
man.
or whatever.
Yeah.
It just feels lazy. It just feels lazy. I feel like the only time they really got backlash or a game didn't really do well is ZZZ, so they had to pivot immediately. But since HSR and Genshin, although I think they're kind of buns at the moment, they make so much money they're never gonna change. And so I feel like like there's a new character and there's new alt animations or whatever, and I could fucking use this person in pure fiction. It's just like, what am I playing this for?
You know
Because there's nothing different.
what's crazy about 3.0 is that there is something that is very different. And the more that you become aware of HSR is just trying to keep you playing the game and stalling you, almost everything in 3.0 that was additive was longer stalling mechanics. Now, not only do we have bloat on every combat scenario, we have bloat on every dialogue option. We also have bloat on chest, where you touch a chest and then a purple guy comes out of the chest, and then you have to waste 2.5 minutes to get that guy to open the chest, as well as doors to where when you go to these doors, you can't open the doors. The doors have to unlock, do the unlocking animation, and then slowly open. And it's just like, what is going on? Like, why is
They
there
really
so
need
many
they
artificial
really need that
slowers?
player time for, I don't know, shareholder data or some shit. I don't know what's going
Yeah,
on.
no,
Not a
there
streamlined
is.
experience.
Yeah. Tectone, it's 20 seconds, not 2.5 minutes. Really? Okay. Well, then I'll go into the game and we'll test that ourselves because I assure you, you're wrong. But yeah, we'll get to that later. Anyways, we don't really need to go any further on HSR 3.0. I feel like it's pretty cut and dry. We're all in agreement here. Anything anybody else wants to talk about that's pressing on their mind that we haven't gotten to yet? Well,
I'm glad
then.
we're done talking about beating kids.
Yeah,
So
unless we can go back, I guess.
let's talk about Gacha. No, I'm
Yeah.
fine.
I'm
We solved
chilling,
race on
man.
the last one, so this one we had to solve parenting, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess my only thing is we didn't really touch too much on like the response of like the community to the FTC thing, because I feel like it just really shows how brain dead like just the community
Yeah.
itself it really is. Like that was one thing that I kind of thought maybe we could touch on in the sense of like obviously like I guess we're all just gonna shit on the people who are like like you're defending a multi-billion-dollar company, but I just think it's like things like that and that toxic positivity is just why we'll never get like significant change to these games.
I think the massive issue that I want to talk about with that isn't even the community action. It's the response of people who think that speaking against the company is in the majority.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah.
It's
not at
simply
all.
not. If you are a defender of Hoyoverse, if you are a defender of companies' malpractices, you are in the majority. Everyone knows that these games are paraded by toxic positivity. There's a reason why Doro's tweet got 42 fucking thousand likes defending the company.
That was insane.
And
to me.
people
I didn't
against
think
it
that.
maxed out at 1.1. These people need to stop thinking they're the underdog. They need to realize that they are defending a fucking dynasty.
Juggernaut.
Exactly. And it's
Juggernaut.
insane how many bootlickers there truly are in CCs as well as the people who support those very same CCs. It's a joke. It's a joke. And I only have to deeply understand that this comes down to people not understanding exactly what it is that they're saying. But yeah, it was sickening. Any thoughts on that, Brad?
So I honestly wonder how much of that is just people that haven't played good ass fucking games before, because Gacha brought in so many like mobile gamers to like higher quality games, and it also brought in a lot of people that just never played games growing up into like actually starting to play shit. I know Genshin was a lot of people's first game. It's a lot of my friends' first games, which is, unfortunate, but it is what it is. But like, there's so many people that look at this and they're like, this is great. Everything they're doing is great. When you have actually insanely fucking well put together games, like I guess Grand Blue Fantasy Relink was one of the examples that even Aspen brought up earlier, right? You have so many good games that people will just never experience and never try, and then they'll go to gachas and they'll be like, "Damn, this shit's fucking good." And I'll never understand how people can look at gacha as a system and be like, "Oh yeah, guys, this is great. Like, there's no problems here." But $300 per character? Yeah, no, that's your fucking fault, man. That's not a company. Like, come on.
Now, I will say real quick, the Hoyoverse did just put out an update. I'm going to read it to you guys right now. It was just posted. I have not read this before. Cognisphere statement to U.S. FTC settlement. Singapore, January 18th, 2025. Cognisphere, the distributor of Genshin Impact, has reached a settlement agreement with the United States Federal Trade Commission to strengthen and increase transparency around our parental consent and virtual currency practices. A statement from Cognisphere is below. Animation-style games and shows are all well received by global audiences and players across various ages. Genshin Impact is a popular free-to-play anime-style game designed for older teens and adults. While we believe many of the FTC's allegations are inaccurate, we agreed to this settlement because we value the trust of our community and share a commitment to transparency for our players. Under the agreement, we will introduce a new age gate and parental consent protection for children and young teens and increase our in-game disclosure on virtual currency and rewards for players in the U.S. in the upcoming months. Fantastic. And I think that's great.
That's huge.
Yeah, I think that's a W.
The one thing they didn't address, I think, was using real money directly to buy the boxes essentially, or to pull. Because that's a huge thing. When you spend $100 for 6 billion fun bucks, and then you're like, oh, each poll costs me 1 billion fun bucks. It's like you don't connect that currency. But if you just see it cost me $20 to do 10 poll, fuck that, dude. Like, what the fuck? You know how much food that is? I'm not spending that. Completely different thing, and they're never gonna do it. This is every game. This is not just even gachas. This is every fucking game ever. As you buy some sort of weird denomination of currency, you're always gonna have left over some, and that's just not going to happen for a while, I think.
Yeah, I think if Genshin Impact were to label a temple as 1,600 primo gems to $20 USD, I think a lot of people
they would lose a lot of money.
I just hope that these positive changes leak over into the other games, because I truly do feel that Hoyoverse does have a hold on how the market works. And I think they are the biggest influencers. That's why a lot of these games have 50-50. Exactly. Yeah. And so, my whole thing is just as long as it's leaking over to everywhere else, because all these games, realistically, they're all predatory.
I think it will, right? Because we don't have the precedent. They've never done shit like this. They've never actually gotten on a game and been like, yeah, you can't do that. A lot of people are bitching about the fact that it's why Genshin? No, it's because it's a Chinese game. But at the end of the day, that doesn't fucking matter, right? Because we need a game to be the example of, hey, you can't do this.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's never going to happen again.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, great. I think that wraps it up. Anything else? We all good?
John, appreciate it.
Yo, Brax, if you don't have any plans today, let me know. I'm doing some cool shit if you want to come. And boys, thank y'all for being here. Ethan, Genizad, Brax, thanks for coming. Hope y'all had fun.
Yeah, had a good time.
Nice meeting y'all.
Invited me as always.
Hell yeah, brother.
When I get my other arm back, we'll play Rivals, because I'm fucked right now, but I got you. Give me 2 weeks.
Cool. All right. Peace, boys. All right. Sugoi Desune, another Gacha cast in the books. Thank you, Gacha Smack and Asmund as well for coming on today's episode. This was a fucking blast. We got a lot of good, productive talks in a very condensed amount of time, and I hope you all had fun. Thank you all for watching. See you on the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell on for all notifications. See you on the next one. Peace, boys. All right, great. That was a great fucking episode. What do we think, guys? What do we all think? I thought that was great. That was one of the best ones. I agree. Yep. Very, very, very good guest today. That was fucking great. Yep. What happened to Fob? He just didn't show up for whatever reason. It's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah, that was great. Felt very good to have Smack and Asmund. I really wanted Smack and Asmund to meet each other because I really like those two rapport. And I'll be real, man. It's a very scary thought when just to understand, having, Genizad, Brax, Ethan, Gacha Smack, Asmund, just having some of the greatest minds in Gacha space right now, all in one call, felt very productive, and it felt very good, and I was very, very, very happy with that episode. And chat, y'all were great too. I really appreciate y'all's, comments, your input, your reactions. It was very good, very supportive as well. I really appreciate you guys having support from my friends. It was very nice. Yeah, it was great. Yep, very, very, very good take. And I feel like it felt good to be on the same page, and when we weren't, to talk about that. Yeah.